G'day guys, welcome back to True Eagle. Today I am going to do an impromptu video. I didn't expect to do a video about selection. Sometimes I will and sometimes I won't. This particular selection I've just found really interesting. Really interesting for a number of reasons. A couple of different storylines happening. So let's quickly summarise for the Essendon game. We've got Dom Sheed omitted. Going to be playing Waffle this week. Harley Reid, his replacement. Harry Edwards comes out for Barras. A little bit unlucky there. I did sort of suggest in my last video, I was like, I wouldn't actually mind seeing Edwards stay in the team and we retain some height, but Essendon's forward line is tricky. A lot of undersized key forwards in that team. I'm comfortable that he missed out, but a little bit unlucky because I like him, and I guess part of me just kind of wants him to succeed. I think we need him to succeed to some extent, but a little bit unlucky. But either way, good first game back, and he'll hopefully take that confidence into the Waffle. So Sheed and Edwards out for Reid and Barras. Brockman gets omitted. I thought that might be coming. Hasn't had a great start to his career at West Coast. Again, not a long-term concern, I don't think. He just hasn't been able to get into the game. And we routinely see over this whole season, our bottom 5 or 6 contributors each week are just not getting their hands on the footy. So again, we've got to work out exactly what that is. Is that them falling short, or is it a system thing? In some cases, it's probably a bit of both. So Noah Long is his natural replacement there. That's more or less like for like. And then Jaden Hunt, unfortunately, is this week's mystery injury. We've had a few. We've had, the injury list comes out on a Tuesday, and then by the time the selection comes out, this is at least the third time, I reckon, we've had a surprise injury. So Callum Jamieson wasn't one. Noah Long was last week, and Jaden Hunt this week. Apparently he was playing through a bit of knee soreness. The guy hasn't missed a game since he came over, and I do think this is easily the biggest downside of the selection this week, because I think Jaden Hunt is an important player. Had a quiet game last week. Was that due to soreness? Was that just because we got beaten on the inside? It could have been both again, but just the 10 touches. Regardless, I think that is going to be a big blow for this game. But the exciting narrative from this is the inclusion of Harvey Johnston, another debutant for the club this season. Let's go into these changes. So Dom Sheed has been omitted. Now, I looked at the phrasing of the actual press release by the West Coast Eagles on their websites, and it is phrased as experienced midfielder Dom Sheed will return to the Waffle, where he'll build his game time after playing 2 matches as a substitute. So they've deliberately phrased this to sort of imply that this is managing him, making sure he doesn't play a third game as the sub, and they've been careful not to phrase it as an omission. So I suppose with it being open-ended, you can make your own deductions as to what's actually happened here with Dom. For me, I think the fact that, there's other players coming out like Brockman and Hunt, and the fact that we were unwilling to play Dom Sheed in a full game at this current point in time speaks to me like this was more or less an omission. And I think this is quite a significant decision, and I almost think it's as big, if not bigger, than the decision to drop Andrew Gaff. Over the last few years, Adam Simpson has been criticised. He takes the brunt of it. There is a whole match committee, a selection committee. But, the criticism has been that there is a bit of a credits crew where senior players have credits in the bank. Now, to add some nuance to this, for the last 2 years, we haven't had any selection integrity, and I'm prepared to overlook that a little bit. They did try to drop Gaff last year, but because of a late injury, as was the tale all year, he came back into the side. We dropped him after round 1 this year. That felt like a significant change because we were finally having some selection integrity, and for the first time in almost Adam Simpson's tenure, there is now a willingness to drop senior players who are not performing. So that was significant, and then Dom Sheed as well, who I don't think has been playing badly. It's just that, his form throughout last year, again, severely hampered by injury, I reckon. It wasn't great, and he was looking a little bit, just slightly off the pace, no doubt, last year. And I would even go back to, I think it was 2022. No, in fact, you have to go back to 2021 because Sheed missed virtually all of 2022. Middle of 2021, I thought Sheed was looking like one of our better performed midfielders that year. And then in the second half of the year, we saw a steep decline in output. And I put that down to playing through injury because that was a bit of a rumour. Misses all but 1 game, I think, in 2022, 2023. Probably a combination of lack of preparation and being exposed for a lack of support. Dom Sheed is a little bit of a, it's probably harsh to say one-dimensional midfielder, but he needs the midfield support. He needs guys giving him the ball so he can use it well and demonstrate poise. That's the best version of Dom Sheed that there is. And that player still does exist, and I haven't given up on Dom Sheed as a footballer for this club. I still think he looms as an important senior player for us over the next few years. So getting him right is important, but long story short, we've decided that his 2 games as the sub, there isn't enough confidence in him to come into the side, even with Jaden Hunt out. And I think this is significant. It's demonstrating that the club is more confident in Harvey Johnston coming in to play on Jaden Hunt's wing than giving Dom Sheed a full game in the AFL this week. And some of that is also the fact that he's played as the sub 2 weeks in a row. I mentioned in the last couple of videos, I don't know if he's actually more ready for AFL minutes now than he was. But either way, I think that whatever way you slice it, Dom Sheed is on the outer of this team. Like I said, I'm hoping he's coming back because, well, let me rephrase it this way. I have faith and I'm hopeful that he earns his way back into the side. And I do think with the correct support and the players around him that are firing, the inside players winning the ball first, which for the most part we've done pretty well this season, Dom Sheed can, once again, be a very good midfielder for us. But this is not the week. So yeah, like I said, it's just a significant decision and a brave decision that we haven't really been known for. Brave selection decisions over the last, again, the last 2 years you can probably wipe away. But even going back to 2021, there's a running joke on Big Footy that there's the credits crew. Like I said, guys who have credits in the bank. This is probably one of the more ballsy selection decisions I've seen from this group for a long time. So thought it was worth commenting on. Again, I'm just hopeful Sheed goes back to the waffle, gets a full game, builds fitness, builds confidence. It's going to take him a little while, but I still think he looms as an important player. When you consider the age of some of our best performers in this team, we need Dom Sheed to step up. And we've been a little bit of a victim of the fact that some of our senior players who were meant to get us through this transitional period, some have not really been up to standard. And Sheed and Gaff dropping off like they have. Admittedly, with Sheed, there is a lot of injury to consider there. It has left us a little bit more exposed than we'd like. So I'm hopeful we see Sheed re-earn his spot. Absolutely. The Brockman decision to be omitted makes sense, I think. Again, not giving up on the guy. Just hasn't really got his hands on the footy. To summarise his stats, he's played 6 games. He had 9 touches a game. I think 4 last week. 2.7 tackles. Decent. It sounds like his pressure and his intensity is fine. He's just not getting his hands on the footy. So I did hear a little bit of a rumour. He's got I think a funeral coming up as well. Maybe on the day of the game. So there was a suggestion maybe that's why he's missing. Not too sure. My thoughts are naturally with him if that's true. But they didn't say personal. They said omitted. So it might be a case of both. So let's give a bit of a shout out here to Harvey Johnston. So pick 48. I forget exactly what pick he was last year. Somewhere in the 40s. I think our last pick in the national draft last year. And would have always been a long shot in my opinion to debut this season, but he has not put a foot wrong since he joined the club. Not only does he seem like a great kid, like his energy and exuberance is there for all to see. You can probably see it on the Eagles YouTube channel and their website and their Instagram. Footage of the boys finding out that Johnson's debuting, and you can just see how popular and well liked he is. So that's great to see. I think that's something that shone through the moment we drafted him, from his interviews and stuff like that. So that's a nice little story for us. But in terms of football as well, for those unaware, he's a 185 centimetre outside mid / high half forward, or at least that's the role that he seems to be assuming at AFL level. Strengths, good ball use, decision making. He's very evasive and quick, which makes him stand out a little bit. We've been talking about we need to build some outside runners, some quality ball users. That's probably what our young list, the young portion of our list, lacks by comparison. He's also a good pressure player and has been highlighted for his defensive running at waffle level as well. So he ticks all the boxes for things we are currently lacking in. He is a pretty skinny guy, so I'm not expecting him necessarily to set the world on fire early, but credit where it's due. He's had a great start to his time at West Coast. He's had a game with 19 touches, 18 touches, and a game with 13 touches, but in that 13-touch game, he kicked a couple of goals. He also had 2 preseason games where he kicked 2 goals in both of them. So this is just a real feel-good one, not only for the fact that he seems like a nice kid, it's nice to see a debutant in general, happy for that, but also it's nice to see a guy picked outside the range of where you expect, our best picks to be, earn a debut in round 8 of his first season. That's really good going, and on top of that, seems to have the attributes we really lack. So it might not be that he comes in and is able to be in a dynamic pressure forward midfielder from the get-go, but he's getting that exposure. I'd imagine, Sheed out and him in and Hunt out makes us, probably one of the youngest teams again this weekend. So we've got that balance of performing senior players and we've got some young guys coming through. So hoping Johnston has a good game. I imagine it's him or Chesser as the sub, but he's got traits that we lack. So I'm really hoping that Johnston can, make an impact at AFL level early doors. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments what you thought of this selection. I thought it was quite significant. Omitting Dom Sheed, bringing in Harvey Johnston. Hopefully Jaden Hunt's injury is short term, but either way, looking forward to the game and looking forward to your comments as well. So cheers, I'll see you in the next one.